I completed a blind playthrough of the OuterWorlds on Supernova.
Fucking aim is bad. And I'm already okay, I gotta get used to this.
In today's video, I will discuss the OuterWorlds Supernova difficulty and whether or not I think it is worth your time. Meet Chauncey Berger. This handsome devil just woke up from 70 years of cryosleep to find out that Elon now rules a human colony of the Hardcore in a star system named Halcyon. Only Chauncey can put a stop to this, but it's going to be tough because he's about to go supernova. So what is the supernova difficulty? Well, it's basically the OuterWorlds take on a survival mode. Selecting supernova will activate a series of settings that will be discussed in this video. If you reduce the difficulty below supernova, you cannot re-enable it. This is self-explanatory, and of course ruins any chance at unlocking a trophy or achievement. If you are struggling to pass a certain area or boss, I recommend resetting your skills and seeing if you can better optimize your build for the specific problem. You can do so in your ship for some bits. Enemies have more health and deal more damage. This is pretty typical for hard modes, but I felt that it was well implemented in this game. Enemies were not as bullet spongy as they are in SEM games, which has always been a lazy way to make a game harder. I did find that most enemies could kill you in only a few shots, which when coupled with the painfully long animation delay for the medical inhaler, can certainly get you killed. Oh, come on, I'm taking my meds, no! You must eat, drink, and sleep to survive. This is the main survival aspect of the mode, and as you become hungry, thirsty, and tired, you will have debuffs on your skills. It was a bit of a pain at the very start of the game, but once you have explored and looted enough, you will find you have plenty of food and drink. This also forces you to use the food and drink consumables, of which many provide useful temporary buffs that you may not really think to use otherwise. Sleeping did not really bother me, as you end up using your ship as a staging ground between missions, which gives you plenty of time to sleep. Just make sure you have some food and drink, as you will wake up hungry and thirsty. Companions can die permanently. This was pretty annoying for me, and was probably the biggest challenge in my playthrough. Not because they can die permanently. That I think is a good feature. The issue is the AI for the companions wants to die.
Nope, I already know. I'll take the hits for you. Oh, sweet Jesus, that was close.
So many times my companions would just charge into a bullet storm and get obliterated. You do have some basic control over them, but it's really not much to work with when they have no interest in self-preservation. Sure, you could accept their fate and play on without them, but at least in my experience, they were critical in adding DPS to the party. They also increase your carrying capacity, which is essential when you need to loot.
You're insane. You're fucking nuts. You're running into the middle of the killing zone here.
If you are struggling with the companions getting themselves killed, here are a few recommendations. Adjust your followers' behaviors to a distance of medium or far, weapon type being ranged, and their mode defensive. This means they will not engage targets unless you command them to do so, and they will always use a ranged weapon. You should also increase their health and defense with any perks available to them. You can also invest into your own skills, specifically in leadership and determination. This will improve their survivability as well. Crippled body and limb conditions can only be healed with bed rest. I did not really notice this until after my playthrough, but I had several concussions throughout the game that could have been cured by sleeping. Weapons and armor work very poorly at 0 durability. This setting can have a pretty serious impact, but it's also not very hard to manage. There is so much loot in this game that you can simply break down weapons and armor you do not want to use or sell, and use the resulting parts to repair your equipment. Oddly, you can also repair anywhere in the game from your inventory, which is a bonus, as some weapons will do practically no damage once they are low durability.
Sentinel. He's gonna cower? Why am I not hurting you?
The last 3 settings of Supernova are all pretty self-explanatory, so I will just briefly mention them. You can only fast travel to your ship, you can only sleep inside your ship, and you can only manually save inside your ship. In addition, autosaves are more limited than in other difficulty modes. These don't really have much impact on the gameplay, and are actually just more of a nuisance. For me, the worst of these was the inability to manually save anywhere. This caused me to lose progress anytime I died. One loophole I did find is that anytime you enter an area that has a loading screen, you will get an autosave. It can be a bit tedious, but it is often worth it to go back and forth between an area that loads if you want to save incremental progress. So with all that covered, here are my final thoughts. It was really nice to have a max difficulty where the enemies did not feel like complete bullet sponges. Some tougher enemies took a lot of damage to bring them down, but it never felt overkill. I also liked that the enemies were pretty accurate and dealt enough damage to make you think twice about charging headfirst into combat. Not being able to manually save anywhere you want was annoying, and I'm not sold on that being a staple of the max difficulty in games. Sure, it's designed to make you be more careful, as your death may result in lost progress, but perhaps providing limited manual saves anywhere in the game world would be a better way. Maybe one manual save per game day, or something like that would be a good balance. Companions dying is a good feature, as it's more realistic, but for it to work well you really need to have smarter companions. I think the only change I would make would be to have them programmed to actually react to taking damage, or maybe allow them to have some basic self-healing capabilities. I would still want them to be able to be overwhelmed and killed, so that you cannot simply hide behind them, but in my playthrough I had to keep them away from fights half the time so they wouldn't die. My playthrough was around 20 hours, which was focused on the main storyline with only a few side quests here and there. If you're someone who likes the Fallout games, and you want to challenge yourselves to play a bit smarter, you will enjoy this game on Supernova. On the other hand, if you want to go in guns a-blazing, I am sure there are builds that would make this a bit more practical in Supernova, but for most players, this would probably end in frustration in the more challenging fights. This game is totally worth playing on Supernova, and if you can get it on sale, or like I did on Game Pass, it is definitely worth your time. Thanks for watching, and let me know if you've played the OuterWorlds on Supernova and if you felt it was worth it. Also, please let me know if you have any game suggestions for future videos. And if you enjoyed this video, a like is always appreciated. I will be releasing videos of my playthrough in a Let's Play format, so if you are interested, consider subscribing.